Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. It's Monday night, and that means it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and we will be announcing the winner of the $315 gaming PC giveaway in a minute. But before we do that, I want to begin by thanking our newest Patreon supporter, Quentin Mayo. So thank you, Quentin, and everyone who's been contributing to the channel on an ongoing basis. Those contributions also include all of those of you who watch and subscribe, because we are almost to 100,000 subscribers. Very, very close. So we'll have a countdown at some point, hopefully, and I really hope actually that we can hit the number at a time that I can go live. There's some great websites now that do real-time subscriber tracking, so I'd love to pull that up and just have like a little party here when we hit that mark. So stay tuned. We'll see if we can get all the timing to align properly on that, but that would be pretty cool if it happened that way. But if not, hopefully probably within maybe a month we'll have be able to say we hit the 100,000 mark and have that silver play button hanging up behind me. So that is my goal for this month, to get to that point. So what did we do this week? Well, we looked at the Moonlight app, which is a really cool little app that allows you to do in-home game streaming to Android devices, iOS devices, even Raspberry Pis. I didn't test the Raspberry Pi in this video. I just did 2 Android devices and an iPad, but a very cool little app that is open source and available for free, and you can see how it runs on a bunch of different devices in the video. This requires an NVIDIA GPU on your gaming PC. It really only works well inside your home, but there's a lot of configuration options to it, and maybe if you have like a VPN or something, you can get that to work. I may experiment further with it in a few weeks. We also took a look at the GameSir G4S. This is a game controller from a company that makes some really nice, inexpensive game controllers. This one's very nice, but not so inexpensive, and it doesn't add all that many features. They did improve some of the industrial design on it, but it costs a lot more. So you can see the video and decide for yourself if it's worth a investment of your money. We also did a one last parting video with our gaming PC, because I was curious to see how SteamOS ran on it, and I installed it on that cheap PC for free, because SteamOS is a free operating system, and it works pretty well for a lot of casual games for sure, but the performance is not as good as Windows is when you're comparing games that are on both platforms, but definitely worth checking out if you are building a cheap PC and some of your favorite games are on Steam. You could save yourself from having to buy a Windows license and go ahead and install the free version of the SteamOS to get that done. I also took a look last night at the Shuttle XPC Nano, which is a little mini computer running with a Broadwell Celeron processor, so you can check out what that one's all about and whether or not it's something you might consider for your home theater. It doesn't do too well with 4K video, unfortunately. So let's talk about the giveaway, and we have a new giveaway this week. We'll announce the winner in a little bit. I'm going to make you wait for that, unless you just want to fast forward, which I guess you could do. But we have here is the Chuwi tablet that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. I was going to donate this to a local school, and then the more I thought about it, I think it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. It works fine, but this is one of those things that if it goes wrong, there's not a lot of support for a school to kind of make use of. So I think I'm going to give this one away to one of you, and I've got the little page set up for that. But I do want to mention one thing before we get into that, and that is a couple of comments I had about folks that live outside the United States, including Maximum RD here, who was talking about folks in Canada, why they can't enter the contest. And part of the problem is, especially for physical items, is that the cost of shipping is prohibitive for me. It really costs a lot more money to send something to Canada, even though it's closer to me than some of the US states that I could send it to for half the price or even less than half the price to Canada. So that's one issue. There are some different laws in Canada, so I'd have to set up more complex forms to meet their requirements of having some kind of skill test before they can enter the contest. And every country's got something different. Not everyone's willing to pay the duty and the shipping fees that it might require to get things out to that. And unfortunately, it's just easier at this point to limit it to the US only. But I'm going to be doing digital items from time to time. So when I do one of those, certainly that will be open to an international audience. So I do apologize for that, but there are expenses and other things that make it really difficult. And I'd hate to have somebody win and then have them get stuck with a huge bill from their local tariff authority on the goods that they got in for free. So the giveaway, though, for this week is the Chuwi tablet. We're going to let this one run out until Sunday night. So Sunday the 31st at midnight or 11:59 p.m. Is when the cutoff for entries will end on this one, Lon.TV/enter. This is the Chuwi tablet I just mentioned. It runs Windows and Android. It's detachable. You can see the most of the time. Hopefully I don't break it here detaching it. It does detach. You can see the review that I did in the master playlist down below, so you can see if it's something you might want. It's free if you win it, of course. So So definitely enter, and enter only once per person, please. Thank you very much. I do keep an eye on that, so don't get yourself disqualified. And now it's time for some news, and I got a really good news item here that came to me from a viewer, Mike Wimmer, who wrote about two web browsers that have had some issues related to user privacy. One was a company called Maxthon, which was collecting sensitive data and sending it to countries outside of their country of operation. And Opera has been sold, the Opera browser, and all the user data that is associated with Opera is also being sold along with their web browser from the current owners of Opera, which is called Opera, to some Chinese company. And this is one of the pitfalls here of the 21st century and trying to be just a regular person out there. It's very hard to be anonymous. In fact, I think for a lot of people, and most people these days, we have to almost conduct ourselves like we're all public officials, because everything we do is going to be showing up in a search result somewhere. And there's been some attempts, like in Europe with the the right to be forgotten and everything else, but those things are not going to last forever. And every country has different laws, and especially in the case of privacy, what might protect you in one country is not going to protect you in another. So if Maxthon is sending your data to a country outside of the area that you're protected in, you're not protected. So I don't have a good answer for this, unfortunately. I mean, really what it comes down to is, who do you trust with your data? And who you trust today may not be who owns the company you're trusting tomorrow. So just today, as a matter of fact, Yahoo got bought by Verizon. So all the user data that you have stored with Yahoo is now being transferred over to Verizon, who may have a different set of data policies for that. We already know that Google and many other companies, especially those here in the United States, are compelled to hand over data whenever the government asks for it. And if you've ever used Google Chrome, you'll know that it keeps a very granular history of every website you've ever visited, every search result you've ever requested. It's almost like peeking into somebody's mind, because we often think about things and search for them rather than ever talk to anybody about it. So I wish I had a great solution here, but I don't. I think the safest thing is, if you don't want to be known, just get yourself off the internet and keep your computer off every possible network you could ever get near, because ultimately that data is going to leak out, and the data will change owners over time. And 50 years from now, who knows what might be showing up in a public repository somewhere. So I wish I had a better answer, and this is really crazy times right now. But I think the key is going to be education, not only for us adults, me as an adult, but also kids in school, to learn about the things that they need to do to protect themselves while they're just being a citizen of this world, and to think about the things that they're taking pictures of. And kids are pretty savvy about this now, but I know a lot of people that kind of fell into the middle of that switch over from the pre-internet days to the social media days. And there's a lot of photos floating around of folks that they probably don't want to have seen, but it's too late because the cat's already out of the bag. So education is important, and I'm going to ask you in a few minutes for some of your solutions for maybe how we can be more private online as well. So I wish I had a good answer on that one, but I don't, unfortunately. But now it's time for some Q&A, and then we'll get to the winner of our contest. Mohammed Hassan was curious about Wi-Fi routers and looking for one that could cover a 3,000 square foot area without losing signal strength and speed. And the reality is here, there isn't one. And this is the thing that drives me crazy about the wireless router industry, is that everybody talks about their router as having better range than the next person's router. And I've tested a lot of them. And to be honest with all of you, in my home, I don't see much of a difference between one router or the other. If I did more synthetic range testing and signal strength monitoring, maybe you could see something different. But the reality is, for consumers, that if they're walking around their house and their iPad or their tablet stops working when they get into the bedroom or whatever, then it's not working for them, even if on paper that router is better. So I think the best solution is a multi-wireless access point solution, where you have multiple wireless hubs of different parts of your house, so that as you're roaming around, your device is going to connect to the strongest signal. I did review those Unify access points recently. You can see that down in the master playlist below. There's now a lot more consumer-friendly options coming out, including Unify, who has a consumer version of their product. Eero is another one that people have been talking about, and I think that's really, if you want to get the best possible coverage and the best possible speed, get multiple access points, because you can't beat the laws of physics here. And really, if a signal is only transmitting at a certain amount of strength and it's getting, it's running into ductwork and insulation and wood and everything else that might be in your home, those signals, no matter how good the router claims to be, are not going to beat back the laws of physics, and you're not going to beat back the law of your particular country in relation to how much power that those Wi-Fi access points can transmit. So multiple access points is the way to go. We'll keep looking at wireless routers, but I haven't seen anything that's completely blown me away yet, except things that cover your house like a mesh. So get the multiple access points there. This next question, I knew I was going to get a bunch of responses on this one because I didn't really say anything when I uploaded the video. So I did that review of the Steam OS on the gaming PC, and I did it at 60p, and everyone wrote in like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then we had one comment here from I am Mr. LK69, who has some bandwidth limitations, so he's hoping that this is not going to be a regular thing on the channel either. So the answer is that I'm going to stay at 30 frames per second for the foreseeable future, unless I am doing something where I need to demonstrate 60 frames per second. And what's happening is I'm shooting at 30, and then in my video editing software, I basically do a frame doubling thing to go up to 60 for the video that you're seeing right here. So the gaming footage that I had was true 60p. Everything else you saw was actually cheating, because I took my 30 frames per second video and had Final Cut up converted. So the reason why I don't do it on a regular basis is actually related to my next question, and that is efficiency. I don't have as much time as I would like to have to do things on the channel here, and 60p requires more rendering, and it takes longer for me to get the videos done, which is why I am not doing it right now, because I'm not shooting natively at 60p. Once my video hardware that I use has been upgraded to some kind of 60p version, then I will definitely switch and do that. In fact, I would really love to do 4K 60, which is my dream. So maybe in a year or two we'll do that. But in the interim, only when necessary will I be doing 60 frames per second video. Hope you all bear with me on that. And that leads right into this question from Alex Munoz, who is curious, how do I have enough energy to do all of these reviews and still have a regular job? And the answer is related to the last question, in that I really try to be as efficient as possible. I've talked about my efficiency in the past, but I also look at what I have energy for. So for example, that Steam review that I did, actually that took over a couple of weeks to kind of get done, because I took one night to install SteamOS on the computer. I took another night to try out some games and stuff on it. So I don't always do everything all at once, but I try to get it, as much as I can get shot during the week and on the weekend, and then I tinker around on certain nights when I'm really tired and I don't really have a lot of energy to be on camera. I try to take a night off or two and just poke around with some of the stuff that's in for review. And then when I feel like I have a good understanding of it, I just turn the camera on and start talking and doing my thing. And again, because I'm so efficient, because I stream live to disk essentially here, because I'm able to switch back and forth like you just saw without having to edit a lot of this after the fact, it makes me a lot more efficient. That's how I'm able to do it. So if I'm having a good night, I can actually get something shot and uploaded in about 2 hours, give or take. And that's usually what I strive for. Some nights it takes a little bit longer, just given my energy level or how well I'm talking. I don't use a teleprompter or anything like that. So if I start going off into the weeds, I cut the video and have to redo different parts. So some nights it takes a little bit longer than others. And some days I'm really tired. But what's happening is that I'm really motivated by the feedback that I get from all of you. And I know certain things are going to do really well in search if I get them up early enough. So a great example is that Amazon Blue phone. When that came in, I was going to take that night off, but I said, I need to get this up because somebody else would get their video up and I'll lose search positions. So a lot of times you just kind of, go drive right on through it and get some sleep the next day. So yeah, that's how I do it. And again, I think it's a matter of efficiency, that if I had to edit as much as a lot of other YouTubers do, I wouldn't be able to do the volume that I do here. But because I got my efficiency down, that makes it work. And a lot of weeks too, I'll just pick stuff that's really easy to review. Hard drive reviews are really easy. There's only a few things to talk about with those. So you'll see some weeks will be a lot of little things, which are a lot easier for me to do. It's the bigger stuff that requires more testing that usually takes a little bit more time. So that is how that all works. So now the Q&A for you, and then we'll get to the winner. I want to know what you're using for privacy on the web, essentially. Are there web browsers that you would recommend that really keep you off the grid, so to speak? There is a computer out there that I'm probably going to try to get into review at some point, which is designed around user privacy, and I think that might be a really fun thing to take a look at. I interviewed the creator of this a couple of months ago. I'll put it down in the master playlist so you can get a sense for what they're trying to do with this computer, because it really is geared towards privacy, and I think it might be something worth taking a look at. So definitely let me know what you think. So now it is time for our winner of the gaming PC. A lot of you entered, only one can win, and that winner is Mike Torres, and I'm going to be contacting you via email to get your shipping information, and I will send this out to you. So please respond to me as soon as you get that. If you are watching and don't see the email from me, definitely check your spam, because sometimes my notifications end up there. So definitely get back to me ASAP. I want to get this computer shipped out to you. If you didn't win, I'm sorry. There was a lot of people that entered. We had several hundred enter on this one, so only one can win. But don't worry, there's plenty more stuff to give away here, so stay tuned. So this week I got some cool stuff to check out. out. I've got a brand new Chromebook from HP. I guess this one actually came out in May, but it's all the review loaners have been sent out by HP this week. This is the Chromebook 13. This is a premium Chromebook. We haven't looked at too many premium Chromebooks yet. This one's really nice, actually, so you'll be checking that out in a little bit. They're actually gearing this one more towards enterprise customers than general consumers, but they have a whole bunch of different price points, and there's one that starts at around $500 too. We're going to be looking at the mid-range model with a really nice display, so be on the lookout for that. We're also going to take a look at a USB Type-C dock from Kensington, and this might come close, not all the way, to fulfilling the dream of having a single cable that you can dock with your computer and get everything: display, power, USB ports, Ethernet, the whole thing with one cable. There is some caveats to that. I'll explain in the review when I do it, but it does seem to work pretty well most of the time, but there is a pretty big gotcha with it, and you'll be seeing that when I get to it. And I'm also hoping this week to talk about a new television I got for my home theater nook over there. I'm setting up these different little shooting areas. One of them is going to be the home theater nook for home theater stuff, and Amazon had their big Amazon Prime Day, and they had a Samsung TV that was advertised at around $550, and I got one. I couldn't believe it. I was eating dinner. I was checking my phone all day long, waiting for that deal to show up, and I just got in right at the right time and picked up a 55-inch Samsung 4K TV for about $550. Normally it's about $850. And what's neat about this television is that this is like the low-end entry-level set, and I've been really playing around with it quite a bit, and I've got some really good recommendations for, I think, for a lot of people who are in a certain type of living environment. This is going to be a really good choice and a great value, and you really don't need anything more than that. So I'll talk a little bit about who it's best for. We'll also go through some of the other stuff that I have done with my one other television review. I don't review a lot of TVs because I'm not a TV reviewer, so to speak. I haven't really figured out the best path on that. I also, it's really hard to buy TVs and review them and then ship them back out again. They're huge. It's a lot of logistics and making sure you're here when the guy shows up with the thing. So I haven't gotten into too many TV reviews yet, but I'm eager to show you this one because I think it's a pretty nice television for the money. Not perfect, but really good. And I'm also going to compare it to my LG television that I reviewed last year, which is upstairs, because that one's kind of a mid-range TV, so you can get a good feel. Two different brands and what low-end versus mid-range will get you. So be on the lookout for that. Now, if you want to help the channel, you can go to Lon.TV/Patreon and make a monthly contribution to the channel. I also have YouTube fan funding set up at Lon.TV for a one-time contribution. You can also engage with the channel. I got my weekly email list that I've been doing every week, sort of, so you can see if you missed anything. I send out all the videos that I did in the last week and then give you a little update as to what's happening with the channel. You can sign up for that at Lon.TV/email. We've got almost 1,500 people on that list already. Lon.TV/Facebook, which is my Facebook page. I post stuff there all the time. Lon.TV/Reddit is the Reddit page. I need to do a little bit more on that. And one of you viewers actually posted a Lon versus Linus thing on one of the PC things there, and nobody knew who I was, which was great. So, and it's funny because that's fine, because I don't like this head-to-head stuff, because I've had a couple people write in saying, you're the best, you're better than this one. I'm not striving to be better than anybody. I really think in this digital world we're in, there's actually a lot of room for everyone. You know, back in the old days of media, you could only watch one network's TV show at a time, but here everything is on demand. You have the ability to watch as much of the content that you're interested in as you want. And for me, it's never been a competition. I'm just trying to get a seat at the table, but I really think actually the more that creators work together, either directly or just pointing out each other's videos when there's something relevant to something that I might be talking about or that creator might be talking about, those are all things that work really well in this new era. So I'm really not trying to be better than anybody. I'm just trying to be as good as everyone, just so that I have a seat at the table is what I'm after here as we get close to 100,000 subscribers. So that'll do it for this week. If you have anything you want to chat about, leave it down in the comment section below. As you all know, I do read every comment. I don't get to reply to everyone. Depends on how much time I have and the energy level, but I'm definitely reading everything, and I really appreciate everyone's constructive feedback, your suggestions, and anything else that is on your mind, including some good ideas for some private web browsers out there. This is Lon.TV, and thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.